Hello, fellow Voyagers. Jess here with Odyssey Human, here today to talk about what living in the end really feels like. Welcome to the channel. This is a place where we help you hack through the jungles of consciousness so you can discover the hidden treasures inside of you. And my friends, it's all there, ready and waiting to be activated by you. If that sounds good, please subscribe. We'd love to have you on the channel. And today we have some subscriber questions to answer. Thank you to the person who submitted these to me in a comment. It's really refreshing to figure out what you guys want to hear about, what you want me to elaborate on. So if you, dear viewer, have something that you would like to suggest, actually send me an email. My email is in the description box. I am accessible and I'd love to hear from you. So I actually wrote these questions down. I'm going to read them to you. But I want to preface it with what my experience has been with living in the end. And to me, it's actually a location in consciousness. And where most people go wrong is that they feel like it's more of a process, right? We do a lot of techniques, we are trying to get there, but really living in the end should be effortless when you assume the position. It's effortless when you assume the position. And I want to elaborate on that because that trying energy is really what keeps us from having, from being, from living in the end, from embodying what we want to be, who we want to be, what our desired goal is. That trying energy catches us up. And how we know we aren't in the end, there are some feelings that come with it. So feeling discouraged, feeling like manifesting doesn't work, feeling tired, feeling this compulsion to keep imagining, right? You're serving, and what is happening is this, your attention is outward, right? You're checking in 3D. What is happening in this is, I've likened our cognition to a field of terracotta warriors, where all of those different terracotta warriors are versions of you. And really, that is just a symbolic representation, right? All of this is superimposed in time and space because our imagination is timeless and spaceless. So we can go anywhere in imagination. We can be anything in imagination now. We can have it now. That's when they say that everything is here now. It really is here now because imagination is not limited by time and space, unlike our perception of 3D reality. If you haven't seen the video I made last week where I talked about this, go ahead and check that out now because that expands upon this idea of where we get tripped up. We try to impose time and space on getting to our desire, right? When we could immediately transition to the place of living in the end. And why I say it's a place, and let me back up. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Where we trip up, in literally when we move between states, it feels like, to me, this is the sensation, my experience, it feels like I am one version of one of those terracotta warriors and I literally jump into the shoes of another one. Right? I gain the awareness suddenly of being in the shoes and I'm like, no, but I want to go back there or I want to be over here. And so it's very effortless, just like it's effortless to suddenly be angry, to suddenly be triggered and lose your mind. It is effortless to be in the end state. That is one of the symbols that you're doing it correctly. When we're not doing it correctly, it's because we are what we're trying to do, in the analogy of the terracotta warriors, is we're keeping one foot in one of those versions, but we're also reaching, we're trying to get over there. And that's not how imagination works. It's not how imagination works because your attention and behavior is still in service, right? You still have one foot in the old version of you. And so in that trying effort, in that working really hard, trying to be different, we're not being, we're not having, we're not in the end. Because just like when you think about how easy it is to suddenly be angry, you're there instantly, like instantly. It is quick. It's that instant and effortless to be in the end. It is literally you, and you know you have done it because you have completely transitioned. You've completely made the jump from that one terracotta warrior, the old you, into the new you. And it could be very far away. You know, if you were to turn around and look and be like, wow, the old me was way back there. It's a complete transition. It's a complete transition. And you know that because in this new version, the new you that you've jumped into, it's a different viewpoint. These different terracotta versions of us, the versions of us, are different viewpoints. They have different frames of reference. They literally see things differently. They have different thoughts. They have different future casts. What does that mean? Right? When I'm standing in the shoes, let's run with the angry example. When I'm standing in the shoes of someone who's really pissed off, I will have different thoughts, right? I'm going to have really angry thoughts. I am going to have really angry behaviors, right? It influences my behavior so that my body gets involved. My actions, my behavior, my choices are different when I am angry, right? That literally puts me on a different trajectory, you know, and my future cast, my visions of the future, because we're constantly simulating from our viewpoint that we are in. So in the angry viewpoint, in the angry frame of reference, I'm simulating all kinds of evil, nasty, horrible things of like what I want to do. I'm good. Like they're often very extreme. When you're really, really upset about something, quitting jobs, leaving the relationships, you know, taking very extreme measures is the future cast of this version. These things all happen organically. They happen organically when you're embodying that version of you. Whereas if I was to go back and like cool off, take a nap, and I wake up and then I'm back in the version of me who isn't angry, who's got peace of mind, I'm calm, things are status quo, I'm normal, I'm not going to have the same thoughts, the same future cast, right? I'm not going to be thinking the things that I was thinking when I was angry. It's going to be more status quo thoughts, like whatever I normally think about. So this is how you know when you are living in the end. And the trying energy comes from splitting. It comes from the splitting of 1 foot in one of those versions and 1 foot in the other. And that's why it's tiring, it's exhausting, it wears you out, it disappoints you, it brings you down. It just is hard to maintain. And this compulsion, right? This old version of you that thinks you don't have it is so wanting to change, but you're not changing yourself, right? This is the illusion of these words. Change, you know, the only thing to change is self. You're literally changing versions of yourself. There is nothing to be done with that old version of you. The old version of you continues into infinity, believing that they don't have it. That old version of you will never have it. And that's why when Neville tells us to let go of the old man, that's the old man. Let go of him, like completely release. And you'll know that you've fully jumped into the new reality when there's no other awareness from that perspective, that point of view. So let me ask some of the questions that this person asked me and elaborate on this description I just gave you. Do you find that the state of having a desire to be is a spectrum of states, sensations, or energies? I don't find it as a spectrum. There's an actual containment or point of reference to it. Because when I know I'm in it, I'm in it. I'm in it fully. I'm in it completely and fully. Just like when I fully jump into anger, I am in it. I'm in it. There's not a shred of peace of mind in there, right? Just like when I'm calm, I'm fully in it. I'm fully in calm. I'm fully in it. And so there's a quality to it that is very contained. Where a spectrum may occur is if you're doing a lot of bouncing between, right? Or trying. That trying energy to me, what I have experienced is that trying feels like highs and lows. It's the roller coaster. It's like some days I feel like I'm in that identity and other days I'm not. And, I get discouraged, and then the next day I wake up and I pick myself up again. When I am in it, there is no spectrum. Like I said, the fully stepping into the identity comes as a package deal where your thoughts change, your behaviors change, your perspective and your future casting changes, all when you are embodying that state. So I don't experience as a spectrum. I experience as a location that once I assume the position in that location where it already is so, it already is so. Go to the place where it already is so. Not where you're trying to be, where you have to earn it, where you have to work your way into it, where it already is. This is already true for you. You already have it. You already have it. It already is. That potential exists in and of itself. You cannot eliminate it. You cannot get rid of it. You cannot create it. You cannot eliminate it. You can only activate it or deactivate it with attention. This is all about attention. Where is your attention going? Right? This idea of who you are, your self-concept, is really just an idea. And that is how we jump between these versions. They're ideas about ourselves and the permission that we give ourselves to automatically go to that version and inhabit it, believe from it, be it. That is what living in the end is. And when you maintain that, that's when you've hit it. You've hit your mark. You have hit your mark. So I don't see it as a spectrum. I see it as a point of view. If I lose the point of view, I know it, because I'll catch myself in thoughts. I will catch myself in thoughts from the old point of view, right? When you are in that point of view in imagination and consciousness, you'll catch yourself thinking thoughts from that point of view. Like the future casting, right? Like, oh, I would, like if you want to be a millionaire, I could totally afford that house. Or, I could totally, I can go on vacation wherever I want. You'll catch yourself thinking the thoughts from that point of view. And if you don't, that's how to know which point of view you're in. And you can actually locate it. How I locate it is I clear my mind and I recognize that I am all these potentials. And all I need to do is give myself permission to step into the shoes of one of those potentials. All I have to do is give myself permission. Typically, people wait until they see something in 3D, then they're like, okay, now I have it. It's here. I have it. It's here. And they instantly then jump into the shoes of the person who has it and believes they have it. You don't have to do that. And my qualifying thought that helps me get there, because there is a seed. If you feel out, if you close your eyes and you feel of like, I have it, I actually am a millionaire, or I actually am peaceful, or I actually am in love, there is a tiny seed of feeling where it feels true. And it may be not as strong, right, as feeling you don't have it, but it's there. It is so there. If you really acknowledge that you are everything, your imagination, you can find that signal that it may be a weak signal, but it's there where you legitimately could be like, I could get behind that. Sometimes you need a thought, a qualifying thought to help turn that signal up. For me, it's that I will not stop when I want something. I will not stop until I get it. I'm not going to stop. So by that logic, if I logic my way there, I'm like, okay, I might as well be it now, because I'm not going to stop until I get that thing that I want. It means that much to me. I am that invested. I honor my desires, and I'm like, this is what I want. I am not going to stop learning, doing whatever it takes to get there. And so by that means, in my brain rationalizes this into, then it's inevitable. It is inevitable, because I know myself. I'm very stubborn. And so that's my qualifying thought to help me turn that signal up of like, I can get behind this. I can get behind this. It can be true now because it's going to be true one day, for sure. So that's what helps me personally kind of get find the signal of it being true, of having it, where it is absolutely true for me. I'm being it, I'm having it, I'm living in the end. That's what helps me turn the signal up so I can lock in on that version of me, step into her shoes, and live from there. And stay there. Stay there. Next question. Question 2. How can one have without having to constantly think about the desire consciously? Great question. Frequency does not matter. Forget everything everyone else has told you. The frequency does not matter. It's whether you are thinking of the desire from compulsion or from being it, right? How can you have without constantly thinking about the desire? If you're in the point of view of having, you'll have natural, organic thoughts about having your desire, and you'll future cast into the future, just like, let's go back to the millionaire example. You'll pass a house for sale, and you're like, oh, $2 million, I could totally afford that, no problem. I could have that tomorrow, and I could hire an interior designer, and you'll future cast naturally as you go about your day from the point of view. Meanwhile, if you are really still believing that you're poor, you look at your bank account and you're like, I'm poor. You look at your bank account and you're like, I have no money. I'm trying to be a millionaire. I'm saying all these affirmations. I'm trying really hard to believe I'm abundant. And then you drive past the house as the poor mindset. You're going to think to yourself, oh, I could never afford that. I could never, oh my gosh, I couldn't do that. Like, you're going to think different thoughts. You're going to have different perspective. Your perspective is different when you're living in the end. Whether or not you buy the house is irrelevant. It's irrelevant. It's the mindset. It's a position set. Like, it's a set. Mindset. It's not mind process. It's mindset. So remember, the mindset is the frame of reference, creates then the natural and organic flow of thoughts, behaviors, actions, future casting. This all comes from your location. So let me circle back on, do you have to constantly think about it? Are there millionaires who constantly think about their money? Of course there are. Of course, their focus is money. They love money. They think about it all the time. They think about their millions. They feel grateful for that. Are there millionaires who worry about their money all the time? Yes, miserable ones who are constantly worried about losing their money. Some of them do, because that's what they create, because they're constantly worried about it, about losing it, right? So it really doesn't matter the frequency of what you're thinking about. It matters the point of view. Are you thinking about your desire out of compulsion because you feel like you're trying to serve some outside God in order for him or her to give it to you? Or are you thinking about your desire as in, I have it and I love to think about it and it makes me happy when I think about it? And yeah, because one, the compulsion is reinforcing the old you. Thinking about it as if you have it is like, it feels good. It's a good activity. It feels natural and effortless. And you're like, oh yeah, he's mine. That's mine. It's mine. Right? Question 3, how can we subtly land in the feeling of having without conscious thought, repetitive thought about desire? Kind of the same, a similar vein. How can we land in the feeling? Again, you have to locate it. I locate it in the field. I literally feel it out. I feel it out in the field. I could get behind this being true. I have that qualifying thought of, I'm not going to stop until I do, so it may as well be true now. Sometimes you have to take a chance. Sometimes you have to take a chance. And that's how you end up. That is how you end up in living in the end. You're taking a chance. You're betting. You are betting on your own imagination. And that's okay. That is another subtle way to do this, is to bet. To bet. I mean, you can always go back. You can always go back to believing You don't have it. It's never going to be yours. This is so discouraging. You can always go back to that. But what would happen if you fully let go of that? If you fully let go and you bet on, I think I'm going to get it. I think I'm going to get it. It feels like having a secret. It's like, I got a secret. I did this with my conference, right? When I was planning my conference, I was worried, sick. I was stressed out. This was last year. And at some point, I met with a coach, and he's like, this conference is going to be a success no matter what. And I parroted back to him, this conference is going to be a success no matter what. And I decided at that point, I couldn't live anymore believing that it wasn't. It was just too stressful. And so I really embodied, I was like, this is going to be a success no matter what. No matter what other thoughts I needed to legitimize that of, I worked my butt off. I did the best I could. This is a meaningful thing. I know people are responding positively, whatever thoughts you have to add to it to bolster the belief of this is going to be a success no matter what. You crowd out everything else. I wasn't flip-flopping. And when I really committed to that, it's almost like it does feel like betting. You're betting on your future. You're betting on a new reality. You are literally bringing it to life with your belief. And, you do this with other things. You put trust and faith in other things that you have never seen. You have never, you may experience their effects, like gravity. I trust that gravity is a real thing. I trust that gravity is holding me to the earth. I only see its effects. I've never been out in space. I've never been on other planets where gravity is different and gotten to experience that physically, but I trust in it. I'm like, you know what? It keeps me safe, and I'm going to keep trusting in it, in gravity. I mean, that's a rather interesting example, but you get what I'm getting here. So how can we subtly land in the feeling of having without to do repetitive thought? Don't do repetitive thought. That's the trying. That's you're getting stuck in and splitting your energy between two worlds. And that's tiring. The change is instant. The change is effortless. Moving between points of view, perspectives is effortless because your imagination is timeless and spaceless. Everything is here now. You just have to give yourself permission to find the signal, find that signal of the feeling of it. It could be true. I could get behind this. What is the evidence that it could be true? Okay, you know what? There's some evidence there. I'm going to stand behind this. I'm going to take the chance. I'm going to go fully in, and I'm going to shut out the 3D. That's the last piece, is ignoring the 3D. You have to ignore it. You have to totally ignore it. Do not use it as your yardstick. Because if you use it as your yardstick, it may throw you off because it's you. It's the old version of you. Looking out into 3D is like looking back at the old version of you, and the minute you do that, you're back in those shoes again. So it really is like betting. It's betting on a different reality. It's betting on it. It's proclaiming it in your mind. It's living it internally. And base it on your satisfaction, the satisfaction you feel in inhabiting that end state. You're going to feel so good. It's going to be joyful and wonderful, and it's going to feel self-fulfilling. That's where the fulfillment comes from. So much so that it doesn't even matter that it's not out there. Because you are everything, you are imagination. And when you have it in mind, when you have accomplished it in mind, then it is inevitable that it will demonstrate itself externally. It will manifest. So base it on your satisfaction, not your outside results, and stand in that. Stand in that knowing, because that siren's call of your desire is telling you that's where you're meant to be. That is where you were literally meant to be. So I know this was helpful to you. Drop a comment below if you want to engage, and drop me an idea at my email if you would like me to elaborate on anything else. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.